everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, we love to go deep, and today we're going deep on Ghanaian food.
Ghanaian food is really interesting.
We have some awesome footage from the best ever food review show channel on YouTube to walk us through it.
Yeah, Sonny and the crew, they really got around Ghana. It's amazing.
So we're not just going to be like, oh, here's a dish, here's what's in it. We're going to see like the markets, the street food, the home kitchens.
Even a super high-end restaurant.
Yeah, so much cool stuff. I think you're going to be surprised by some of the stuff we see.
Definitely.
We're going to uncover some surprising facts, some cultural insights, even touch on some of the challenges, they face in Ghana.
And just so many different kinds of food.
Yeah.
You're going to be hungry after this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. Let's start at the Maka market.
Yeah, Maka Market. This is kind of a huge hub of street food and commerce.
And one of the things that's most popular there is actually illegal.
Yeah, turkey tails.
Turkey tails. In 1999, Ghana banned poultry products with high fat content.
And as you might imagine, turkey tails are super high in fat.
Yeah, something like 45% fat.
But the footage shows vendors selling them openly.
Yeah, it's wild. They have these giant cases like overflowing with these glistening turkey tails.
And it's really interesting to see how that plays out,
Yeah, like how the regulations
Product.
versus the deeply rooted cultural preferences.
Yeah, and the vendor that they talked to, she actually says she's happy about the ban
Oh, really?
because it reduces competition.
Oh, wow. So it's like,
Less turkey tails out there. She's got the market cornered.
yeah, she's got her own little black market going.
Yeah, it's not just about the health concerns, it's like the economics.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can you tell us about like the turkey tail itself?
Like, what makes it so popular?
Yeah, why is this such a coveted item?
I mean, it is all about that crispy skin
Yeah.
and like those layers of fat. I mean, it's definitely not a health food.
Yeah.
But Sonny seems to really enjoy it.
That crispy skin does look very tempting, I have to say. But this actually ties into a broader trend we see in Ghanaian food, which is like the dominance of carbs and bold, spicy flavors.
Yeah, like they incorporate a wide variety of carbs.
Yeah.
Beans, cassava plantains, yams, corn flour rice.
Like all the carbs.
If it's a carb, they're going to use it.
Yeah, and they're not shy about the spice either. Ginger, garlic, onions, chili chilies.
Yeah.
It's like this really intense, full of energy, kind of like the market itself.
It's like that vibrant energy comes through in the food.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of carbs, I want to move beyond rice and talk about two dishes that really stood out to me. Tuazafi
Okay.
and Kinké.
Yes.
Tuazafi comes from northern Ghana,
Okay.
and it's basically like a velvety, smooth cornmeal base.
Okay.
And then they top that with a slimy green sauce called a yo-yo.
I love that description.
And then
And a red
slimy green sauce.
And then a rich protein stew.
Oh, yeah. And this is a really hands-on experience. No
Yeah.
utensils needed.
You just dig in.
Yeah, you're going to get messy. Get that smooth cornmeal, that slippery sauce, and then the tender meat in the stew. And a lot of times they use beef organs.
Yeah, there's one specific cut of meat. It's a part of the cow's stomach that they call the towel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it apparently feels just like a towel.
So descriptive. And then the stew itself has like this smoky, savory flavor that comes from dried fish powder.
Yeah, very intense.
I love those flavors.
Yeah.
All right, now Kinké. This is another classic, but this is made from fermented corn dough.
Okay.
And it's quite a process. They wrap the dough in corn husks and then let it ferment for days, and that gives it a distinct sour taste.
Yeah, and they pair it with a salted pig feet soup.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
So you're thinking like, oh my God, that's going to be way too salty.
Yeah.
But apparently the long cooking process kind of mellows out the saltiness, creates a more balanced flavor. It just shows how these cooks really know how to transform simple ingredients
Yeah.
into these really complex meals.
Yeah, they utilize every part of the animal, every ingredient to its fullest potential. Speaking of ingenuity, we gotta talk about jollof rice.
Oh, yes.
This is a staple throughout West Africa.
Yes.
But there's like this friendly rivalry
Yeah, Ghana versus Nigeria.
between Ghana and Nigeria over whose jollof reigns supreme.
And Ghana wants to own jollof rice on the international stage.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
No, they're serious about their jollof.
So the main difference between the two is actually the rice itself.
Okay.
Ghana uses fragrant basmati or jasmine rice,
Okay.
and that gives their jollof like a really distinct aroma.
So both versions have like a rich tomato base and then all the spices. But that difference in the rice adds just a whole other layer.
Yeah, a whole other layer of flavor and aroma.
Definitely.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and head to gastro. This is a high-end restaurant run by Chef Mame.
Okay.
She's a Ghanaian chef, but she was trained in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And her mission is to showcase Ghanaian cuisine in a modern fine dining setting.
So she's taking these familiar flavors and, like, elevating them.
Yeah, putting a really, like, sophisticated spin on it. So one of her signature dishes is an elevated version of kosua nemako,
Okay.
which translates to boiled eggs with pepper.
Okay.
So it's based on a simple street food dish, but she elevates it by using naturally dyed eggs
Oh, wow.
and like a really beautiful presentation.
And all these layered flavors,
Yeah.
red onions, peppers, and Shito, which is like a Ghanaian hot sauce, adding all that depth.
She also has this amazing guinea fowl dish
Okay.
where the guinea fowl is cured in salt and then baked in duck fat for hours.
Oh, my God.
So tender, flavorful meat.
Now, when we talk about gastro, we got to mention the price tag.
Yeah, this is not...
This is not your average restaurant.
This is...
Her tasting menu ranges from $100 to $11,000 per person.
What, $11,000
Yeah.
per person?
It's potentially the most expensive restaurant in Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, her ambition is to earn a Michelin star for Ghana, which would be...
that would be huge.
Yeah, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It really speaks to this growing movement within Ghana to showcase their cuisine on a global stage.
Absolutely.
All right, now we got to delve into a topic that's a little bit more complex, maybe controversial.
Okay.
Bushmeat.
Bushmeat.
This is so deeply ingrained in Ghanaian food culture,
Yeah.
but it also raises all these questions about sustainability and conservation.
It's a complicated issue for sure.
There's no easy answers.
Yeah.
You know, on one hand, you have these cultural traditions and livelihoods that are so connected to bushmeat, but then you have these concerns about the impact on animal populations.
Yeah, and the health risks.
The potential risks.
Yeah.
So in the footage, they show this roadside bushmeat stall on the way to Kumasi,
Okay.
and it's quite a sight. They have everything from grass cutter to antelope,
Kerbal.
turtle, even pangolin.
Yeah, the pangolin trade is really concerning.
Yeah.
These are gentle, scaly anteaters, and they're in high demand because their scales are believed to have like medicinal properties. But that's led to a huge decline in their populations.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see these animals being exploited, and it really highlights how cultural beliefs and economic factors can drive this demand even when it's illegal and harmful to endangered species.
And we can't forget about the potential health risks.
Ah,
Because while some people say like, oh, if you get it from a reputable source, it could be safe.
right,
But there's always the possibility of zoonotic diseases.
right.
These diseases that can be transmitted from animals to humans.
Especially since, you know, the butchering and preparation methods might not always meet the same hygiene standards
Yeah, that's true.
as commercially produced meats, so they also visit this bushmeat market in Kumasi.
Okay.
And you really get a sense of the scale of this trade.
Yeah, they're processing hundreds of animals every day.
It's really a stark reminder of the impact this is having.
Yeah, and it shows how deeply intertwined bushmeat is with the local economy.
Right.
People depend on it for their livelihoods.
Yeah, they even talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the bushmeat trade
Oh, really?
because there was this misconception that it originated from bushmeat, which led to a decline in sales.
Wow, so you can see how fear and misinformation can have this ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we talked a lot about the ethical considerations, but they do actually try a couple of bushmeat dishes.
Okay.
Dick pepper
It's dick pepper soup.
and bushbuck groundnut soup.
Interesting names.
Yeah, so Dick is a small antelope,
Okay.
and the pepper soup is known for its intense spice.
Okay. Was Sonny up to the challenge?
He was a little apprehensive at first, but he ended up really enjoying it,
Oh, good.
which I thought was really interesting, how food can push us out of our comfort zones.
Yeah, makes you try new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So bushbuck is a more common type of antelope, and the groundnut soup is rich and creamy with a peanut flavor.
Delicious.
And remember the towel from the tuazafi?
Yeah.
Well, it makes another appearance in this soup.
Oh, no.
They really highlight the cultural significance of utilizing every part of the animal.
Interesting.
It's about minimizing waste
Mm.
and respecting the animal.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a different perspective on food, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So I think the question that keeps coming up is bushmeat good, bad, or just complicated?
I mean, it's definitely complicated.
Yeah.
The local perspective, emphasizes its cultural heritage and its value as a protein source, especially in areas where other sources of protein are scarce or expensive.
Right.
But then there's the negative impact on animal populations,
Yeah.
the need for better regulation.
And then there's the economic side of it. people rely on this trade for their livelihoods.
Yeah, so it's really about finding solutions that address all of these different aspects.
The Ghanaian government seems to be taking an approach of regulation rather than an outright ban,
Yeah, that makes sense.
which I think speaks to the complexity of the issue.
Yeah.
The host even suggests promoting sustainable meat farming, like grass cutter farms, as a potential solution.
Grass cutter farms. That's interesting.
Yeah, so grass cutters are a type of large rodent,
Okay.
and they're already farmed in some parts of Africa. So it could be a way to meet the demand for meat while reducing the pressure on wild animal populations.
That's a good idea.
It's about finding solutions that are both culturally and environmentally sustainable.
Yeah.
Speaking of sustainable protein sources, let's move on to a creature that might surprise you.
Okay.
Snails.
Snails.
They visit a local snail farm, and they are amazed by the sheer size of these creatures.
These aren't your average garden snails.
No, these are giant African land snails.
Oh, wow.
Some even bigger than the host's hand.
And they're farming them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which is really cool because it's a relatively low-impact practice. It requires less land and resources than traditional livestock farming.
Yeah.
So they learn about the whole process, from the snail's unique mating habits.
Oh.
They're hermaphrodites.
So they have both male and female reproductive organs.
To their egg laying and their diet.
Wow.
It's a surprisingly complex and fascinating process.
And there's some real potential benefits.
Yeah.
Snails are a good source of protein and iron.
Hmm.
And they can be raised using locally available resources.
Yeah.
So it could be a really valuable alternative to bushmeat.
Yeah, in terms of both sustainability and nutrition.
Very cool.
So, of course, no visit to a snail farm would be complete without trying some snail dishes.
Of course not.
But first, let's take a quick break. All right, so we're back, and we're talking about snail cuisine.
Snail cuisine.
I'm a little apprehensive about this one, I gotta say.
Yeah, well, Sonny's motto, I'll try anything at least once.
That's true.
He starts off with some grilled snails, just seasoned simply with salt and pepper and Maggi bouillon.
Oh, Maggi bouillon. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the verdict?
Initial reaction, they tasted like wet soil. Not super appetizing.
No, not
But as he keeps eating, he kind of starts to appreciate the unique flavor and the texture.
Okay.
So, sometimes we just got to get past those initial preconceptions.
That's true. You never know what you're gonna like.
Exactly.
All right, so grilled snails, that was the first hurdle. What came next?
Snail stew with snail slime.
Wait, snail slime?
Yeah.
Like the slime.
The slime.
Ah.
Yeah, it's considered a superfood in some cultures, and some people even use it in beauty products.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this stew, they combine it with fried snails and vegetables and spices, and it's supposed to make this really rich, flavorful dish.
I mean, snail slime, that's definitely not something you see on your average menu.
No.
What did they serve it with?
They paired it with Kinké.
Okay.
Remember that fermented corn dough?
Yeah.
But this time it was wrapped in plantain leaves instead of corn husks.
Plantain leaves? Okay.
Seems like that's a common wrapping in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that sour fermented flavor with the snail slime and the rich stew.
It's a lot of different things happening there.
It's a lot going on.
So what did Sonny think?
Surprisingly, he enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, he said the slime added a unique texture, and the overall flavor was delicious.
Wow. Okay, he's come a long way from the wet soil reaction.
He has.
I'm impressed. All right, so we've seen bustling markets. We've tried some unique and challenging dishes.
Definitely.
We even ventured into the world of high-end dining.
The $11,000 tasting menu.
Don't forget the $11,000 tasting menu, but now let's head to the coast,
Okay.
to the city of Elmina.
Elmina.
This place is famous for its vibrant fish market and its traditional smoking methods.
You can really see the connection between the people and the sea.
The footage is incredible. It's just this whirlwind of activity.
Yeah.
All these vendors selling fresh seafood.
All kinds of seafood.
You can just feel the energy.
It's a little overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah, they even show this funny moment where Sonny comes across a fish wearing a hat.
A fish wearing a hat.
Apparently some vendors do that when they don't want their fish filmed.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a little glimpse into like the market culture.
Yeah.
And they also come face to face with this giant swordfish.
Oh, why?
I mean, this thing is massive.
Yeah.
And the price tag is equally impressive.
So that gives you a sense of like the economic value of these fish.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now let's talk about the heart of Elmina's fishing tradition.
The smoking process.
Smoking process. It's a time-honored practice mainly managed by women.
Cool.
And they use these amazing open-air brick ovens.
Wow.
It's really fascinating to watch.
And smoking does so much more than just add flavor.
Yeah.
It preserves the fish, enhances the flavor, makes it easier to transport.
So it's like this really ingenious technique.
Yeah.
And they smoke all sorts of fish. You know, everything from small bait fish to hake.
Even those big tuna.
To the massive tuna.
Yeah.
I bet that aroma is incredible.
Oh yeah, smoky.
So they showcase 2 final dishes that really highlight this essential role of smoked fish in Ghanaian cuisine.
Okay, what are they?
So the first one is banku with shito and tilapia.
Banku, I remember that.
That smooth, satisfying corn and cassava porridge.
Yeah, and Shito, that chili oil condiment.
Oh yeah, that adds that kick.
All that umami flavor.
And the tilapia is perfectly fried.
Nice.
Sonny raves about this meal. He calls it a true celebration of Ghanaian flavors.
Sounds delicious.
All right, and then the second dish is palm nut soup with crab and fermented fish.
Palm nut soup, okay.
This is a really unique combination of palm cream vegetables, fermented fish, and whole crabs,
Whole crab.
all thickened with corn flour.
So it's hearty too.
Yeah, so they call this a sacred dish in Ghanaian culture.
All right.
And then they also have something called ampotour,
Amputur.
which is a brown corn flour porridge with a really unique texture.
Interesting.
So Sonny was a little intimidated by the whole crab,
Yeah.
but he ended up really enjoying it.
Oh, good.
He was surprised by how flavorful and delicate the crab meat was.
It seems like he's really embracing all these new experiences.
He is. He's really stepped out of his comfort zone.
That's great.
But there's a twist.
Oh.
Remember that confrontation we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
The one that seemed to contradict the whole positive, welcoming atmosphere of the trip?
Right.
Well, it happens right at the end of this incredible meal. 1 minute, everyone's laughing and enjoying themselves, and the next, the energy just shifts.
Mm-hmm.
It gets tense, and you can feel this conflict brewing.
So why not?
They don't show exactly what sparked it,
Okay.
but you can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even in the most welcoming and hospitable cultures, you know, disagreements can arise.
That's human nature.
Yeah. But what's important is how we choose to address those disagreements.
That's true.
And in this case, they try to resolve the situation through conversation. There's even a peace offering involved.
Okay.
So it shows this willingness to find common ground despite their differences.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful moment that highlights the importance of communication and understanding.
Definitely. And it reminds us that even when things get difficult, there's always hope for reconciliation.
Yeah, it's a really thought-provoking way to end this culinary adventure.
It is.
It shows that Ghana, like any country, has its complexities.
Yeah.
But at its heart, it's a place filled with warmth, generosity, and a deep appreciation for food and community.
Absolutely.
So what stands out to you the most about this journey through Ghanaian cuisine?
I think for me, it's the resourcefulness of these cooks.
Yeah.
They can take these simple ingredients, often locally sourced, and transform them into these complex, flavorful dishes.
Yeah.
They're masters of fermentation, spice blending, and utilizing every part of the animal.
I'm also really struck by the diversity of the cuisine.
Yeah.
You know, we saw everything from humble street food to sophisticated fine dining.
There's something for everyone.
Yeah, and let's not forget the importance of community.
Yeah.
Food plays such a central role in Ghanaian culture, bringing people together, fostering a sense of shared identity.
It's something we can all learn from.
Absolutely. So now that we've explored the flavors of Ghana,
Yeah.
I want to go back to that question of sustainability,
Okay.
especially as it relates to the bushmeat dilemma.
Right.
Remember how we discussed snail farming as a potential alternative?
Yeah, it seemed promising.
Yeah, it seemed like a promising solution, you know, offering a sustainable source of protein
Yeah.
and potentially reducing that reliance on bushmeat.
But could it really work on a large scale?
That's the question.
That's a good question.
And it leads to a broader discussion about the future of food in Ghana.
Yeah.
What other sustainable practices could they implement
Right.
to ensure food security while also protecting the environment and biodiversity?
Yeah. These are questions worth thinking about.
It's a reminder that our food choices have a real impact on the world around us.
Wow. I'm still thinking about those snails.
The slime.
Yeah, the slime. Who knew snail slime could be so fascinating?
And beneficial, potentially.
Yeah, right.
It really challenges our idea of what's edible.
Totally. I'm also really impressed by like the entrepreneurial spirit we saw throughout this whole journey.
Oh, yeah.
From the street food vendors
Yeah.
to Chef Mei, you know, with her Michelin star aspirations.
Everybody's hustling.
Everyone's hustling, they're driven, they want to innovate and share their passion for food. And those women managing those traditional fish smoking ovens,
Yeah.
they're carrying on a legacy.
It's really inspiring to see how they're keeping those traditions alive while also adapting to the changing world around them.
Yeah, this deep dive has really given us a lot to think about.
It really has.
The bustling markets, the refined elegance of gastro,
Yeah, the contrast is incredible.
and then that confrontation at the end.
Yeah, it kind of throws you for a loop.
It really does. It adds a layer of complexity to the whole experience.
It makes it feel more real.
More human.
Yeah, no culture is perfect.
Right.
And even in the most welcoming of places, disagreements happen.
But it's how we address those disagreements.
Yeah, that's what matters.
And they showed a willingness to communicate and to offer a peace offering.
Yeah, there's always hope.
That was a really powerful moment.
It was this whole journey through the world of Ghanaian food. It's been eye-opening and thought-provoking.
We've seen the importance of tradition, the challenges of sustainability, the impact of globalization.
And the resilience of the human spirit.
Food is so much more than just fuel.
Yeah, it really is. It's a reflection of our values, our history, our interconnectedness.
So to our listener, we leave you with this final thought. How can we as individuals contribute to a more sustainable and equitable food system, both locally and globally?
What choices can we make to support farmers, protect the environment, and ensure that everyone has access to nutritious and delicious food?
Let's all savor every bite
Yeah.
and appreciate the journey that brought that food to our plates.
And let's use our voices and our choices to create a more just and flavorful world.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.